Previously on Rugby League Outlaws. This week and every week I'm joined by the original Big Terry, Terry Mortimer. How you going, mate?
Dan, I'm excited. Ever since you brought this opportunity to me, it was something I couldn't pass up.
Now, 99 episodes later, we have the 100th episode extravaganza. What are you doing? I don't know how I've survived 100 episodes with you. Hey all, welcome back to another episode, not just another episode, the 100th episode of Rugby League Outlaws.
Who would have thought?
Brought to you by our good friends at TopSport, onelittlefootyfan.com.au and the Stubby Club. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give them all some love. Speaking of love, Dan, I love rugby league.
Love rugby league. This
I love trials.
What I don't love, Terry, is the fact that they've given us this beautiful, succulent steak that is rugby league, and this weekend, no more.
There is some New South Wales Cup. There is the Super League. It might not be as appealing.
It's close.
It's rugby league.
It's better than nothing. I am happy.
You can always watch rugby union.
No.
No.
It's the same rugby union Outlaws. Now, Terry.
Yes.
Pre-season challenge.
I loved it.
Yeah, me too. But the 100 grand, did it mean anything to you? And did it mean anything in the results?
Well, I mean, no, it didn't mean anything because we didn't win it. And at the beginning of the, 2 weeks ago, I wasn't sitting there thinking Cronulla are going to go and win 100 grand. All I was hoping was that Cronulla put on two really good performances and came out alive, no injuries. If you'd asked me who I would have thought was going to win the 100 grand, judging by who they had in the trials, I would have said South Sydney.
Agreed, yes, yep.
But, Manly came from absolutely nowhere and won because they just played some ad-lib exciting football.
Look, congrats to Manly.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're 100 grand richer, so let's not, let's
not take away from it.
No, and I saw fans on there going, oh, Manly this, Manly that. Everyone knew the rules.
Yeah.
They went in and they played. But I want to throw this out there, Terry. No one cared about this because Manly had 7 offloads with 10 minutes to go in the game, knowing that 3 more offloads would bring them to 10 and make it impossible for anyone to chase it down. They threw 2 offloads, and to his credit, Ruben Garrick was aware to it and tried to throw one on the bell. It was incomplete, so therefore not valid. Going into Sunday, or going into Saturday, St Helens could have won it. Now, they beat Penrith in a game we'll run down in a minute. Far more important game, if I do say so myself. So they're out, which meant on Sunday, the Warriors got flogged, they're out. The winner of the Sharks and the Bulldogs could go on
could have won it.
To win it. Now, to do that, they had to score 5 tries, 5 line breaks, 10 offloads, and win by more than 4 points to eclipse Manly's points differential. The Sharks did all that
Except
and
the
threw
offload.
3 offloads.
Look, and with the style of footy that we played, that is just shark ball. We were never going to go out and make 10 offloads.
It tucked in. Now, I was a little bit worried that in the last few minutes we would run up, take tackle and throw stupid offloads, get the 100 grand, which would have made it worth it, I suppose, but be a sort of a laughing stock. That would have been embarrassing.
Yeah.
They go after the game, they said to Dale Finucane, hey, why didn't you offload? Fox Sports must have mentioned offload. They must have got paid by the mention because they mentioned it probably 140 times. Dale Finucane said, oh, we didn't know till late on when I think Jack Williams made a joke. Oh, let's throw some offloads. They went to Fitz, who said he wasn't even aware. They knew. Let's not pretend for a second that they didn't know. They didn't care because their focus was on what mattered, the performance.
Yeah, I think if you'd asked Fitz what would have been more important, the 100 grand or getting through that game unscathed and playing some exciting football and your shark brand of football, knowing that you're going into round 1 and that's your style, that's okay with me there. The pre-season challenge is fun, but that 100 grand should be reserved for the 9s.
Yeah, 100%.
This weekend, there's, you play your 2 trial games. This weekend should be the 9s. You don't send your good players over there. Send your budding stars. Send your Stam Stone Streets and your Cade Dykes when he had a good leg, and everyone else over there. And that should be what the 100 grand's for, not this.
So
and determine the fact that they won it off 10 offloads.
Yeah, exactly. So the Sharks fell 7 offloads short of 100 grand. Now, without going to sour grapes, outplayed 2 teams by a lot of points. Manly fluked 2 victories and 1. But good on them. Everyone knew the rules. They did it. It was really fun. Love the preseason challenge. But the 100 grand, who cares?
What we did care about, though, was Saturday night. St Helens came out here last week, destroyed the Dragons reserve grade team.
We knew it would happen.
And everyone said that they're going to get flogged by Penrith. What didn't go to plan was St Helens not only walking into Penrith in front of a hostile fan base in Penrith, but they walked out with the trophy.
They mugged them off.
And I'm going to say that no one celebrated that victory harder than James Graham, because he was the drunkest man on the planet on Saturday night.
I'd give a shout out to the St Helens fans. They came over in their thousands. Pre-game in Penrith Leagues Cup, they were calling it a home game.
Yeah.
They were singing. You could hear them the whole game. It was fantastic. Obviously, Penrith outnumbered them 10-1. But as you said, James Graham enjoyed it. And that seeing the fans go crazy when that field goal went over was really, really good. What an occasion.
I went crazy when that field goal. Like, I didn't want Penrith to win that game.
No, me neither. I don't go for England very often. Whenever they play Penrith, though, yeah, they get my vote.
Yeah.
Great game. Great game.
Absolutely great. And this now, not only does it solidify that the Super League may not be as far behind as we think it was, because England did put in some great World Cup performances as well, but this now solidifies St Helens as this St Helens team is arguably the greatest ever Super League team that has been assembled. They've won 4 premierships on the trot. And now they've beaten, arguably, people are saying the best team that's ever been assembled.
It's hard to argue.
It's hard to argue with that. And they've got some exciting players, man. Some really exciting players.
Now, we saw some disrespect from Phil Gould saying, that the Panthers should declare at half-time. And look, I was laughing up. I expected Penrith to put 40 on them.
Yeah.
They came out, St Helens were like, no, it's just not happening. Penrith just couldn't lift. Okay, look, if this game's played in 10 weeks, I think we get the result we expected. 1-17, maybe 3 of those St Helens players go into that Penrith squad at full strength. But Penrith, every time they got caught, they threw it left and they had nothing. Last year, every time they went left, they either scored or they busted the defensive line. That's going to be a problem. I think it showed a bit. Wouldn't worry if I'm a Penrith fan just quietly. Well, certainly not about my team. But yeah, it was certainly a fun evening at the football.
Brings Penrith back a little bit. It grounds them. That loss there, even though their fans are saying, we didn't really care about it. And Ivan
baloney.
Ivan Cleary was in the press conference going, we've got more to work. That grounds them now, because I think, like many people like me, have just expected Penrith to walk in and claim their 3rd trophy this year.
Yeah, we predicted it here, and it's painful to say, but they're really, really good. That's absolute...
Yeah, they cared about it.
It's garbage. They wouldn't go to England. They said, no, we'll only do this under our circumstances, thinking that they could party home and not play excess luggage for that trophy that was there. It was a gimme. Imagine if we'd played Wigan at home, even without Barber and, well, not Chad, but other players that mattered. We would put 40 on them. You let us down, Penrith, and you let down the nation.
Thank you.
Now, Terry, I want to take the lead here for a second.
Go for it.
As we'll get to later, I put a tweet out earlier in the week that, people just, they prove the rugby league fans, not the smartest of people. Overreactions to trial games. It's coming thick and fast. Everyone's writing off Canberra because they lost to the Tigers, which probably says a lot about the Tigers and how much losing to them means. But I've seen people say that Manly are a top 4 team now based on their pre-season performance, which wasn't really that good when you look at the results against who they were playing. I've seen people write the aforementioned Canberra off. People are saying that the Storm are going to run riot and push for the minor premiership after beating the Warriors reserve grade team. Trial games, Terry.
I will say that before we go into your tweet and what it actually was about, the most hypocritical thing, and I'm not going to name drop the journalist on here because I think he's embarrassed enough as it is from me hammering him all day and then him blocking me. But before, I think it was like this time last week, he put out a tweet saying that he expects Cronulla and the Cowboys, because they had easy draws last year, to come back to the pack, and the West Tigers would be the team to take the Sharks' top 8 spot. And then he put out a tweet today. Someone asked him what he thought about the Bulldogs' performance, and he said, well, the Dogs just got handled by a top 4 team. So what is it? Are Cronulla dropping out of the 8 for the Tigers, or are they a top 4 team? The answer is they're a top 4 team.
Yes, of course they are.
But the reaction and overreaction a week apart is absolutely... Now, give us the context of your tweet. Dan.
Look, we're going to break it down in a full segment because I've had enough. I've had enough of people just launching in. So we'll get to that in a second. But going back to overreacting, it's not about results. You'd rather win than lose, and you'd rather play well than not. But in 6 weeks, no one's going to care that Canberra lost a trial game with the Tigers. as you were saying off camera, in week 20, if they meet, Canberra walk all over them. It's ridiculous to think the trial game is going to show. Penrith lost their only full-strength trial last year. They beat the Cronulla reserves and they lost to Parramatta. Yeah. Did it stop them? Did they go in with a monkey on their back? Hoodoo, we lost a trial game? No.
Did Penrith win their first trial game this year?
Yeah, they beat Parramatta by like a couple of points. But then they lost to St Helens.
So it's exactly
they're done. They're going to get relegated, Penrith. Because trials mean so much. Except when your team loses one, it doesn't mean anything.
Now, Dan, arguably the biggest story that came out of rugby league this last week, Sir Fitz has re-signed with the Sharks, extended for another 4 years, gets an upgrade on his final season at the Sharks and extends to the end of 2027. I've seen a lot of people turn around and saying that why did we extend him now when he's got the same finals record as John Morris? You're a complete and utter lunatic if that's your thought process. Cronulla have locked down one of the best young coaches in the game, and what it's done now with Fitz being at the helm and Darren Mooney being at the helm, and Cronulla now have a lot of money to play within the salary cap, off-contract players who have seen the leap that Sifa Talakai has made, the leap that Ronaldo has made, the leap that Teague Wilton has made under Fitz, can now turn around and go, well, Cronulla have got a bit of money and I can go there, play finals football, challenge for a premiership and become a better person and a better player. It's absolutely the right call that Cronulla have made.
It is, absolutely.
And this now is going to ensure that we don't ever get a James Maloney MK2 with Nicho Hynes because he will be extended.
Yes, he will. Very well said, Terry. Very, very well said. Sir Fitz proved enough last year to prove he's our long-term coach. With recruitment, people, first thing they ask, who's your coach? And then they say, cool, I want to talk to him. What's your future? Like we pretty much said, the Roosters or the Storm were the one I was worried about. Bellamy's, got a year or two left. He's come out and said that. Now he's going to move into a coaching role. Who's the one they're going to pick? They're going to come to Fitz and say, oh, you want to coach the Storm? Now they can't.
Well, and going back to what you said about recruitment, who's your coach? At the end of the 2020 season, we sat down in a cafe with Matt Burton and offered him a contract and offered him a lot of money and said, we've got our halves partner in mind because we planned Nicho Hynes months in advance. And the first thing Matt Burton said is, who's your coach? And we said, well, we don't know who it's going to be. We don't know if we're going to extend John Morris. We don't know if we're going to go in a different direction. We don't know who it's going to be. And Matt Burton went inside with the Bulldogs. And I think he was always going to go there. But the fact that was Matt Burton's question is, who's your coach going to be? Now, you can only imagine, because that story got leaked, probably by the Morris camp. But who else was there in January, February, March asking Cronulla, well, who's your coach going to be next year?
Probably all of them. And we're not going to be in a situation where you've got players going on Matty John's shows, Sean Johnson, bagging who the coach is and decisions being made. It's locked in. This is the future going forward. Now, in 3 years, okay, if we miss the finals for 3 years, okay, you pay him out the other two. The risk versus reward here is just so far in our favour. It's
absolutely
ridiculous. Two things about Cronulla you want to lock down is your best player and your coach. We got half of it. And I dare say, Terry, by the next time we sit together, we'll have number 2. More in the Sharks segment.
Dan.
Talk to me, Terry.
Get your fins up, get your fins up. Let's talk some Sharks.
Yes, the original fins.
The original fins up, Dan and I. Let's talk some black, white and blue. We've had some trials, we've had some signings, we've had some just all round...
Some positives, dare I say, Terry.
Absolutely. 2 trial games, 2 wins, second in the competition again. Fantastic achievement.
We're too
What
good.
else can you say?
It's becoming almost too easy.
I'll say this. Going into this season, the biggest concern that I had about was next man up, our depth. Losing Lockie Miller, losing Cade Dykes, some other players who were at Newtown have gone overseas and picked up contracts after.
Fafita and Tolman, these two.
Some New South Wales Cup players who I thought would roll into our team that have gone and picked up Super League contracts. I've got no concerns about our depth whatsoever now.
I'm not worried at all. I'm more excited.
Newtown are going to be top 3. We'll be top 3. Our flag team should be top 3.
Flag should be very good. Mate, I'm heaps happier this year than I am this time last year.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we've got a season behind us. We've seen what Nico and Sir Fitz can do in the positions. But, look, I don't look too much into trial results. But in terms of performances, we only conceded 1 try to the actual, while our first graders were out there. It was a fluke.
And that's the same as the Newcastle game as well. We only conceded one try while we had our strongest team out there. And when we ran the Flegg kids out, that's when they conceded a couple of tries. But yeah, look, absolutely no concerns whatsoever about the depth. You know, if you were to say that Ronaldo and Katoa to go down and you had to bring up Sam Stone Street and Kale Iro and whoever else, Tommy Hazelton, obviously not as a winger, but...
He could do it. He's that good.
Yeah,
I'm not worried.
There's a good feeling around the club now. I don't know everyone now is aspiring to be Penrith with your local development, but, you know, you have a look, Cronulla in terms of recruitment this year, only big player, Oregon Kaufusi.
10 out of 10 so far.
And everything else has been players 21 and under. Dan Atkinson was an astute signing as well. I don't know how old he is. He's probably about 23, 24. But, you know, when you're talking about Fatili, Max Bradbury, all those kinds of guys that we've picked up, plays for the future.
Absolutely.
We're going to be competitive.
Newtown's going to be stacked. And they ran right on the Bulldogs, who made the grand final last year. It's pretty much the same New South Wales squad. Not exactly the same. I think we were leading 36-6 at half time, and then the players came off and you saw the reserves come on because they had to come play 15, 20 minutes for Cronulla.
Trindle, Hazelton, Colehern, all those guys got hooked.
Iro, Stone Street, Rodwell, all come play for Cronulla later. And then, you know, and then Newtown, whatever, doesn't really matter. Just quickly for Newtown, fairly famous former Australian winger in Josh Mansour ran out for the Jets. That's
scored a try.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch. I think he's going to be, if he's on the back line outside Kyle Iro, he's going to score a million tries. But
that left edge could also concede a million tries
look,
as well.
Potentially, but we won't talk about that. We're going to win game 50-48. But yeah, look, in terms of the weekend, as I said before, results don't matter, performances do. One performance I want to take a moment to talk about was Will Kennedy. Last year, started really, really well, ended deplorably bad, to the point where I wanted Lockie Miller or Cade Dykes to take over fullback. Now, obviously, I don't have a choice, but I'm very comfortable with him back in the number one.
Do you mean to tell me that now Will Kennedy can walk and lift his arm above his head, he's actually a decent footballer?
Look, it doesn't hurt. Mm-hmm. Yes. That tackle, though, that he made. 1, he ran down a noted speedster in Jake Cavarillo. 2, bodied him and sent him to bloody halfway to Queensland.
Yeah. Look, Will Kennedy was great. I thought everyone was really good. The Bulldogs fell into the trap of trying to bait Ronaldo and then complaining when Ronaldo went 2-0 on them, like the other Ronaldo who constantly does it. But the one performance from mine that I have not seen anyone talk about, offline, online, anywhere else, apart from you and I last night, Matthew Moylan.
So good.
In the shape of his career.
Oh, he looked good.
Yeah. Like... And I know he had the 6 on his back, but he played more first receiver than Nico.
Yeah, look, he did. That combination is so good. And I have a feeling last year when they went to Moylan, they said to Nico, how do you feel playing with this guy? And he said, get it done. Because there was no one other than Brisbane, we heard a little bit, really in for him. And there was we need to re-sign Moylan. And it's really good to see why. Yeah, look, I think 1-17, I can't pick a bad performer. Obviously, there were some players that didn't get the minutes. Kaufusi, though, that signing... 1 from 1, I'm happy to call it now. He's going to push for an opening spot.
Well, yeah, I mean, now Royce Hunt's injury, you know, he could miss round 1, 2 and 3 by the sounds of it.
Do you go Kaufusi?
Oh, look, I really like Kaufusi coming off the bench. I think he did a really good job with Parramatta coming off the bench.
Huge.
I think he's come to Cronulla for that opportunity to start. I just don't know if I do it.
Hey, look, you can always do it in 6 weeks. You don't have to do it in round 1.
You can always do it in round 2. That's the thing. But, I mean, for mine, I think Braden Hamlin-Uele has got enough runs to his name and enough longevity at the club for him to turn around and go, you know what, I'm going to take the number 10 jersey, but if I put in an absolutely stinking performance, I know I've got this mongrel behind me. Absolutely. The other thing as well is when BHU comes off the bench, he's really good. I haven't seen Oregon Kaufusi start, but I've seen him come off the bench and really rip into some teams. Grand final was another, you know, they were down 16-0. He comes onto the field and he just put some shots on and some aggression. And not that I ever want to be behind 16-0, but I feel comfortable with him coming onto the field, whether up 16-0 or down 16-0.
Yeah, good sign.
Because, you know, 2020 of old, you're down by 20 points and you're bringing on Jack Williams and you're like... Oh.
Yeah, game's over regardless of who you're bringing on. Speaking of Jack Williams, been really, really good.
He was fantastic, yeah.
Really, really good.
2021, Jack Williams is back.
Teague Wilton, though, for me, is the first player picked outside of the big guns. He has to play that left edge. He and Nico and Moylan, when he was there, have such a combination. That Talakai and Ronaldo are going to score 1,000 tries this year. It's all going to come on the back of Teague.
I'm telling you, Teague Wilton is going to play for New South Wales really soon. And he's going to play for Australia as well, and you're going to remember his name. He's the closest thing to Boyd Cordner that the NRL has had.
Scored another 2 tries this week. He's just too...
He is the next name that needs to be put on a contract, signed, sealed, delivered, because there is a certain team out west that is missing a left edge back rower, and he would be just as damaging. Now, he's 6'3" and a hunk of a human being. He's good friends with all the boys at the Sharks, but opportunity and money talks. It needs to get done. I know we've heard Jesse Ramian signed, sealed, and delivered. I don't want to go into round 1. I know we're cutting it fine, but I don't like round 5. If Teague Wilton isn't signed, I'm worried.
Yeah, 100%. Going back to Jesse Ramian, we heard on Fox Sports they announced what we'd heard, but we hear lots of things.
Yeah.
Jesse Ramian's going to re-sign for Cronulla if it's not already done and announced by the time this comes out. What Fox Sports said was something along the line of he never looked anywhere else. He settled in Cronulla. That, again, is what we'd heard from multiple sources, so it's good to get one right for once. Huge re-signing because he looked so good. Yeah,
the story that you and I got was that Benji Marshall was actively chasing him and Ramian was dodging the calls.
Thanks, but no thanks.
And then Ab actually picked up the phone and said, look, I've left once and it was no good for my career. Thank you for showing your interest, but I'm not coming. I see what you're building, but I'm not coming there. So it's good to get him done. But, all this talk of Katoa's got to be re-signed or Kennedy's got to be re-signed or... No, Teague Wilton's next. Calm down.
There's no one else like Teague. Whereas with the greatest respects to Katoa, who I think instantly...
We've got Sam Stone Street.
We have players that are there to go. Same with Will Kennedy. We got a certain centre, turn fullback, turn centre again, who's happy birthday today, or yesterday by the time this comes out, who may just play plenty first grade this year. So, look, things are pretty rosy in the Shire. And, of course, for the next several years, the man overlooking that will be Sir Fitz.
Now, I have said that Teague Wilton has to be the next one to be signed, and I stand by that because, Nico Hines still has another year on his contract. I expect that, by the middle of the season that Nico would have extended for another 4 or 5 seasons.
I expect in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Teague Wilton is like the absolute priority of off-contract players. Like, if someone said, if Will Kennedy came to the club and said, you need to re-sign me before Teague or I'm going to go, see you later. I'll release you now. But... Tough but fair. Yeah, Teague Wilton is the absolute priority signing now. Because if he leaves the club... There hasn't been a player that's left the club for a long time that's come back and bit you on the arse. Took Josh Adokar a long time to do that. He would be the one that if he left in 2023, by 2024, he's playing rep footy. Yeah, for Melbourne, all those other bad blokes. But going back to Cronulla, mate. Yeah, I can't fault that. Feeling good. That's the exact pre-season, hand on heart, I hope I haven't ruined it for everyone, that you want going in. A second straight pre-season without any drama. I wonder why that is, Terry. I wonder why that is. Your depth absolutely flogged another team's depth, and your first graders beat a team that everyone's saying is up and coming. They've spent, better than us. Spent all their money. Their 5'8's better than our halfback. We were up 30-4 before we took out the foot off the gas, and we left. We let players like Josh Reynolds score so we could have a fairy tale. Yeah, so that way the Bulldogs could think that they're actually going to be good this year, but. We've done you an absolute disservice there. You got pantsed. Let's put this on Twitter, Terry. Bulldogs fans were giving Tigers fans grief for giving their team a standing ovation a couple of years ago to trial. They gave them a standing ovation when they warmed up before the previous game had ended, and then we pantsed them. If I could stand up, I'd give the Sharks an ovation. They gave Josh Reynolds a standing ovation for scoring a try to bring the game back within 20. That's an achievement for some clubs. Have a word to yourself. But mate, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fins. Feel like get your fins up, get your fins up. Terry. Talk to me, Daniel. In lieu of hot takes, and thank you for everyone that sent them in, they were very, very good, mostly. I've got not a hot take, but I tweeted something earlier today that I feel like we need to discuss. Let's discuss away. Yeah, we'll put the tweet up here. We'll edit it because there was one error. I ran out of characters. Elon, get your stuff together, mate. Post-trial predictions. This is my 1 to 17 as I have it now, taking the trials into account
relying on it, reacting to it, but not overreacting to it. Now, what I've done is I've broken this down into 6. 5 in the tweet, which should have been 6, I clarified underneath. Tiers of teams. So it's a tiered with positions. Now, a few may change. Before I start, I got people going on about trial form this and how are they, blah, blah. The trials were taken into account, but they're not the be-all and end-all because that is absolutely ridiculous. For instance, I've got teams that won 2 trials lower than teams that didn't win any because trials don't matter in 6 weeks' time. So please, just stop replying rubbish. Now, here's my top tier. These are the teams that I think are great. Wonderful. Panthers, Roosters, Sharks, Rabbits.
In no order.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to argue that. Some people did. Some people said that Penrith weren't great in the trials, blah, blah, blah.
That's the top 4.
They're still going to win the minor premiership by 3
They've still
weeks.
got enough depth to hammer the worst teams of the competition.
Absolutely.
Penrith's New South Wales Cup team, 2022, would pants about 5 or 6 squads this year.
Of course they would. Now, the Roosters was one that I copped a lot of flack on, saying, oh, what about this, what about that? They didn't have their halves or a certain centre called Joseph Manu. Half their forward pack was missing.
Was it a finals game?
A finals I suppose it was Manly's grand final.
Oh, I mean, because Joey Manu never turns up in the finals.
Well, there you go. Well, technically it was. Because if they won, they had a chance. Very, very good. I'm not worried about any of those 4 teams. I don't care if they cop 60 each. Let's move on. These are the teams that I said was very good. Cowboys, Eels, Storm. Now, in the tweet, I had the Raiders and Broncos because I couldn't get goodish in. They're in the next tier down. They're goodish. So very good. Cowboys, Eels, Storm. I'm also very confident
they will all
those
be in
3
the
teams
top
will
8.
make the 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree. I think the Cowboys are just a step below. I think the Eels will drop back because Sean Lane's injured. Ryan Madison is greedy. They didn't replace, what's his name? Papali'i. And they replaced Reid Marnie with the ghost of Josh Hodgson. So whilst I think Parramatta will still be competitive, I don't think they're going to be a top 4 team. And Melbourne.
Yep, Melbourne.
We've written Melbourne off for 20 years. They've won 5 premierships and cooked the books.
That's going for you. Now, in the goodish teams, I had the Raiders and Broncos. Now, look, I copped so much slack for this.
I could understand why you copped it from the Raiders. However, the Raiders, like Ricky Stewart, don't care about anything except for round 1.
Exactly right. Now, the Raiders, they can start bad, they can start well. They'll have a mid-season fold, and then they'll come good at the end. So even if they're 6 points out, as they were last year, they'll still play or come very close to final football.
They lost to the Tigers, but I guarantee you, like every other year, if they play the Tigers in round 25, they're winning by 30 plus.
Exactly. I was pretty annoyed by the amount of people that were like, oh, didn't you watch the Raiders? Yeah, unfortunately I did. And yeah, the Tigers beat them. Again, probably says more about how bad the Tigers have been that a big win has them writing off. You can't write off a team that's that good. And despite the grief we give Ricky Stewart, a coach of that experience. And the Broncos, I'm also not worried.
I like that Broncos shout because they just missed the finals last year and I expect them to just miss the finals this year as well. But that means you're a good team.
Yeah, of course. It took the all-time great fade out to miss the finals.
But if it takes you until round 25 to miss the finals and you just miss the finals, you've had a good year.
Well, yeah, you've had a pretty damn good.
You've had
a goodish year.
You've had a goodish year. I like that.
So dead set. Now, under improvers, I put the Tigers, Titans and Seagulls, who I think will all be better than they were last year.
Yes, the Tigers will be better than they were last year because the only way is up except there's 17 teams now. So if they come 17th,
yep, I'll eat crow on that one. It doesn't matter.
The Titans have got a very good squad, 20 players. It's the 21st to 30th man that I really worry about for the Titans. Also, Kieran Foran's body, you got to worry about that. And Sam Verrills has played 14 games. Now, I've seen a lot of Titans fans online going, I love what Sam Verrills brings. You've never watched a Sam Verrills game. Don't kid yourself.
I actually like Verrills, and I like the
Verrills.
fact that Foran is at 6 because it means Brimson's at 1, where he should have been all along.
So what's happening with Jaden Campbell and when are Cronulla signing him?
Put him on the bench or get rid of him because he's not playing first grade. Although the way Aaron Schopp defended, perhaps he is playing in the centres. And of course the Seagulls, who, look, okay, they did win this preseason challenge. They beat a couple of teams that, didn't have their full strength side, but they beat what's in front of them. I'm not having a go. I saw enough from them, especially out wide, to say, okay, they're a little bit better than I originally thought.
Well, at one point last year, Manly were 6th.
Yeah.
And then they had the whole, Tommy Turbo hurt himself, and then the fiasco.
A lot of off-field issues.
And then, and then Des wasn't being re-signed, and then this happened, and then that happened. And you can understand why a club whose captain has the backbone of a plant folded.
It did. Absolutely.
And now Daly Cherry Evans is a talented player, but when the going gets tough, he turns to water.
He's not a leader. I think they've definitely got to move on. And I like what I saw from Josh Schuster outside his kicking game. But that'll come. Now, I put Dunno because I have no thoughts, good or bad, on the Bulldogs. How do you rate them after their performance? All we heard all week is how they're going to pants the Sharks. They're going to bring us down to... They were bad. I almost said something way worse.
I said it last week that they don't have a fullback. Hayes Perham sucks. Yeah. As harsh as it sounds, he sucks. Cole Flanagan has not reached the potential that we thought he had. Matt Burton is not a number 6. And you saw that yesterday. If he can't kick, he can't do anything. Reid Marnie and Viliami Kickout are the only good things going for that club at the moment, unless they put Matt Burton at the centres, and then they've literally got a dreadful spine. But the play last year for Penrith to get themselves out of trouble was to give the ball to Viliami Kickout and hope. This year he's going to be used as a battering ram, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick up a few injuries.
No, now he's at his very best when he's doing 8 impactful hit-ups a game and then a couple at the end to pad his stats. He's going to need to make 15 to 20, which I do not like. Tavita Pangai Jr.'s out again. I'm starting to...
I don't know about the Bulldogs. I think we had them about 12th or 11th.
Yeah. I feel worse about them now than the trials.
People are turning around and going, but we've got the best winger in the world. Yeah, but you got no one feeding.
No, he got no ball. He touched the ball 3 times the other day, and 2 of them were drops. And I'm not going in on Addo Carr because we saw what he can do with a decent side.
Yeah, I'm not going at Addo Carr at all because at the Melbourne Storm, he's the best winger in the competition.
For Australia, he's the best winger in the world.
But for the Bulldogs, with no halves to create anything and no 5'8" that can do anything apart from kick, and let's be honest, Addo Carr's not the best under the high ball.
No, he's not. It's not his game.
I don't know either. Good call. Good call.
Now, under Yuck, I had the 4 teams who... One of them maybe played a little bit better than I expected, but just forget them. The Dragons,
yuck.
Grotesque. Newcastle,
yuck.
Awful. Warriors,
yuck.
And the Dolphins.
Yeah, now I've got a bet going on with someone who reckons that the Dolphins are going to get the wooden spoon. There's enough in there that they won't because the Dragons and the Warriors and the Knights exist. They won't get the spoon, but I actually thought that they would surprise people and get around 10th. The bottom 4.
Those 4 teams, I don't care what order they're in, they're all disgustingly bad. And I take no joy in that, except St George, which I take great joy, are so bad. There was a moment on the weekend where Anthony Griffin came out and said, it might have been yesterday actually, came out and said, we'll fix it, we know what we have to do. Why didn't you do it in the preseason? You've had 12 weeks.
Because the preseason doesn't count, Dan.
He doesn't know, they don't know, they're horrible, they may finish last. If Ben Hunt doesn't play 20 games, they're in real big trouble.
Dan.
Talk to me, Terry.
We're going to have a little bit of fun this year.
For once. Now, every week our good friends at Top Sport send us emails saying, please don't give your tips out this year. We don't have enough money in the bank account. Can you just give a bad tip out every now and then? No, we don't do that. Sorry, boys.
What we are going to do this year, though, is you and I are going to open a tipping competition.
Yep.
Just wait a couple of days for the link out for that. But
prizes.
We will give some prizes out. But you and I are going to have a bit of fun this year.
We are.
I'm making a stipulation for you and I.
This wasn't discussed. Now,
in here, as you can see, I have submitted 17 teams into the hat. Mm-hmm. You and I are going to pick one out at random, and whoever we pick out, we have to tip every single week, regardless of how good or how bad they are, where they're playing, who's injured, who's not.
Every single week.
Every single week we have to tip this team.
I'm feeling confident. It's a Penrith hat.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Panthers.
Put your hand over your eyes.
Yep.
Face the wall.
Yep.
I'm going to give you the hat.
Okay. Oh, come on, Penrith.
Put your hand in that hat.
Eels, son. Yep, got it.
Go on.
All good? Come on, Penrith. Or Sharks. Titans. That's okay.
The Gold Coast Titans.
My second favourite team. All right, I'm not overly happy with that. It's probably going to cost me a few tips, but I'm all good. So, Terry.
Yes, mate.
It is time to see who you get. Hand over, looking that way, please. Just 1 second. Hand in. There you go. Yep, go for it.
All right, I'm
All
feeling
yours. Okay, take your hand out. Wait,
I'm
1
feeling
second.
good.
1 second.
I'm feeling good.
Yep, all good.
All right.
Could be Parramatta. They're still there. Penrith's still there. It won't be the
Storm
Titans.
Sharks. Not the Dolphins.
Who did you get? Who could it be?
The Tigers.
What are the odds of that? Get in the tipping comp. Terry and I are already behind 1 point each in round 1. Where's Penrith?
Hey all, thanks for tuning into the 100th episode of Rugby League Outlaws, brought to you by Punctured Media, our good friends at Top Sport, onelittlefootyfan.com.au, and the Stubby Club. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you give Dan and I lots of love. We love reading your comments
We certainly
every
do.
single week. Footy is almost back.